It was a lively Gering City Council meeting this week as residents weighed in on a zoning change brought forth that would allow construction of a new business center. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Plat Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News powered by Plat Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, a request to change zoning of the northwest corner of Five Rocks and Country Club Road failed Monday night, even though a majority of the Gering City Council voted in affirmative. There were 2 hours of testimony, both for and against the proposal from Katie Smith, co-owner of Elite Physical Therapy, who sought to purchase the land for a fourplex business center that would have consolidated the current Elite Physical Therapy locations and included a spa, gym, and coffee shop. Janie Smith was among those speaking out against the proposed change, saying the development should be downtown.
We would want businesses on that highway taking away people from our downtown. This is my problem. I think that if we had some sign that said, Gering this way, and so people would go through the whole downtown or go downtown, instead of thinking, oh, this is the little town of Gering, here's the shopping center, oh my, and just going by on the highway. I think we could bring more people downtown, revitalize our downtown. I think it's looking great with that park and everything. I mean, that's fabulous.
Business owner and former Gering School Board member Brian Copsey told the council it's amazing that a main artery in the community has 0 businesses.
That lot has been empty for 50 years. If it was such a great opportunity for housing, somebody would have approached them and bought it. There is a need for housing in Gering. There are a lot of areas to build. This obviously is not one of them. This makes a great option for a business.
Resident Kevin Mooney called the proposed change spot zoning and said he discussed what could possibly go onto the lot in the future with city engineer Annie Folk.
I mentioned storage units. She said they're not going to do that. But there is still a possibility of somebody putting a convenience store in there with 6 pumps. You'd be limited to 6 pumps in there. Do I really want an area where you're going to have somebody filling up all the time and maybe they have lower prices than everybody else? It just, we don't know what C1 is exactly going to end up being for us in that area.
Former City Council member Ben Backus countered that rejection of the change would reinforce a negative perception of the community.
Perception builds reality, and the perception that Gering has got, whether it's deserved or not, is that we're not very business friendly. When I was on council, I would hear that all the time, and people would still bring up the barbecue situation that came up before. It was discussed it would not be spot zoning in the commission meeting, so for my 8 years on council, I can confidently say that this is not a spot zone because it meets a comprehensive plan for the nodes being appropriate in high traffic areas.
A petition had been filed protesting the possible zoning change and was found to be signed by at least 20% of nearby property owners, requiring the change to get 6 yes votes to pass. The council voted 5-2, with Susan Wiedemann and Pam O'Neill voting against the proposal. New Councilman James Jackson was among those voting in the affirmative, and Todd C. was absent, and the request failed. Well, construction crews have started preliminary site work on what public documents say will be a nearly $7 million Amazon.com local sorting and delivery center on Country Club Road in Gering. According to land records with the Scottsbluff County Register of Deeds, Amazon.com Services, LLC, purchased the 20.5-acre parcel of land earlier this month for more than $318,000. A building permit by the city was issued on Tuesday, saying the facility directly south of the intersection with Gary Street would be a 11,700 square foot single-level concrete warehouse at an estimated cost of $6.8 million. City engineer Annie Folk says construction company officials have said the goal is to complete the facility by October in time for the holiday season. We'll have more news right after this.
Whether you're gardening, searching for the perfect vacation home, or planning your next travel destination, your life is just as unique. Your Raymond James financial advisors, Jody Rosiska and Kevin Figg, get to know you, your passions, and your vision for the future, so you can live your life. That's life well planned.
Welcome back. A rural Scottsbluff woman who was just granted parole after serving a prison term after a jury found her guilty of exploiting a vulnerable elderly woman by forging names on real estate documents and trying to sell the associated property was arrested Tuesday for a nearly identical crime. 49-year-old Landa Neil is facing fresh charges of second-degree forgery, abuse of a vulnerable adult, and attempted theft by taking for trying to sell a home just west of Scottsbluff. Way back in 2021, Neil and her then-husband Barry forged a quitclaim deed on the property on Page Drive to sell it without the consent of co-owner Joyce Nelson. Both Landa and Barry were convicted on the charges, but when Landa got out in prison in March, she tried to sell the property again and showed the forged 2021 quitclaim deed to the buyer from Alabama. Nelson told authorities that she once again was unaware of the sale of the property and had not had any contact with Neil since she stood trial in 2023. Landa Neil was arraigned on the charges yesterday. Bond was set at $25,000 at 10%, and she'll be back in court on May 9th for her preliminary hearing. Well, the Morrill man charged with kidnapping 5 people, including 3 children, last month in Garden County, is scheduled to be back in court later this week as he faces 14 felony charges. Court records show that 71-year-old Carl Thomas was deemed mentally incompetent to stand trial and was committed to the Department of Health and Human Services to provide treatment to restore competency. Judge Randon Rowland noted this may include commitment to a state hospital or state-operated facility, but not a contract facility or provider due to public safety risk. The case has been continued until May 1st in Garden County Court for a competency status hearing. And 4 people were injured following a Monday night motor vehicle collision at the intersection of Avenue B and South Beltline Highway. Scottsbluff police say 45-year-old Elizabeth Johnson of Gering was driving a Ford SUV southbound and struck an eastbound Lincoln after failing to stop at the stop sign. The Lincoln spun and struck a sign in the median, with the driver and 3 juvenile passengers sustaining injuries and resulted in them being transported to Regional West. Johnson was cited, and both vehicles were towed from the scene.
I imagined retirement in a place where we could enjoy our golden years, where adventure and friendship are the only items on the schedule. The Garden Homes at Northfield gives us the luxury we planned for and peace of mind when it comes to convenience, safety, and comfort. We never have to stop and think about the day-to-day upkeep. We love to explore abroad, but most importantly in our backyard. So much to do, so much to see. Here at Northfield, we get the protection of life care, incredible tax benefits, and secured rates for aging services. It's peaceful, knowing that if our needs change, we'll be taken care of. And most importantly, that our kids will never have to make any tough decisions. There never seemed to be enough time to do all the things we wanted. Now we get to focus our energy on enjoying what this community has to offer. At the Garden Homes, life is ours again. A place we had dreamed about. A chance to focus on us.
For this week's featured Pet of the Week, we meet Coda, a 1-year-old terrier American Staffordshire mix who's been at the Humane Society for about 2 weeks now. Staff says he's a high-energy pup that's ready to go for long walks, run along the riverbank, or go anywhere on any outdoor activity. His adoption cost is $175, and that includes his neuter, microchipping, and all vaccinations. To meet Coda or any of the dogs and the cats available for adoption, you can head on over to the Panhandle Humane Society daily from 1 to 4.
This isn't just a beautiful hospital. It's the home to exceptional patient care. This is where specialty clinics meet your needs. This is where a friendly smile, a warm hand, and an empathetic ear exist to care for you. This is us. Box Butte General Hospital. Great things are happening here.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
Changing leaf colors means yard work. Your friends at TriCity Stormwater wants to remind you of the proper way to dispose of fallen leaves. Leaves make great mulch for trees and bushes and compost for future gardens. The city also has yard waste bins, so they can dispose of all your leaves at the city compost facility. Always keep your leaves out of the gutters. Not only do they cause clogging and flooding, they can pollute our waterways by causing nutrient overload. So keep your yard looking good and your drinking water safe, because it's our water, our responsibility.
Let's take a look at your midweek community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
Military, first responders, teachers, Renewal by Anderson is offering a heartfelt thank you with its first ever appreciation sale. 20% off every window and door, no money down, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Plus an additional 9% off if purchased on the initial consultation. That's 29% off. Military, first responders, teachers, this is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Please book your free estimate right now at rbawyoming.com.
At Plat Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether it is building, buying, or renovating, we have the home loan or home equity line of credit to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Plat Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Plat Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally tonight, Governor Jim Pillen has issued a new executive order extending the burn ban announced last week, but has limited the ban to western and central Nebraska. Pillen said conditions in that portion of the state are still very dry, and so burning remains prohibited through May 10th due to the potential wildfire risk. The line runs south along Highway 81 from the South Dakota border to Highway 92, then west to U.S. Highway 281, and then south to the Kansas border. Burning outside of that area is permitted, except when a red flag warning from the National Weather Service is in effect. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you here next time.